Hello and welcome, football fans. We are here. We are live with another exciting edition Panthers podcast. Coming at you, of course. Oh, there we go. We got a better roar this year. Isn't that so much better? A couple more times for the people, of course. For the people. I'm FBI Tugboat caster, interviewer, host extraordinaire. I've been busy. Oh, wait, we got to do this.
You ever made out with a tugboat?
There you go. Folks, I'm tired. I love what I do for a living. Casting, I've been teaching my casting class, actually, to a bunch of middle schoolers and high schoolers in Southern California, hopefully branching it out. Want to make sure everything is nice and perfect before I really, branch it out and whatnot. I've been busy as hell, and part of doing what you love for a living, just like I tweeted, is guaranteed one or two nights a month you just stay up laying in your bed thinking about all the cool shit that you get to do. Not in even a bad way, just thinking. I don't make the rules. We're looking at an off-season update here for the Michigan Panthers podcast after a little personal update apparently from FBI Tugboat. Let's hop on into a bunch of announcements today here on February 5th, 4 days before the big game. I'm not even sure if I'm sure I can say the words, but just to be clear, here for the UFM, right? It's the big game. No specific name here. All right, let's hop on into it. Obviously, this is the big thing. This was released literally today. Obviously, hat tip. This is from PF Newsroom. Don't do a podcast while you're tired, folks. PF Newsroom. Specifically, shout out to the GOAT James Larson, or at James Larson PFN over on Twitter. This was all announced today. Well, not essentially. We're getting the entire starting coaching staff, all the way back. Mike Nolan. In the past, he's been the Niners head coach. He was the defensive coordinator at Dallas, Washington, and Miami up there in the NFL. Last year he took us to the playoffs. Last year he got the UFL Coach of the Year. Marcus
Belfoy,
like Malfoy. Marcus Belfoy. Excuse me. Had years with the Stars. He has his work cut out for him last year. Let's say that, right? Four different quarterbacks: Bryce Perkins, E.J. Perry, Danny Etling, and why am I forgetting the fourth one? I always do. Bryce Perkins, DJ. We'll look at it a little bit later. Anyway, had an absolute quarterback carousel, as they say, and as an offensive coordinator, obviously that's where a lot of that starts from. Still came fourth and finished 7-3. Right, overcoming adversity. That's what we do up there, the Michigan Panthers. Another one for the people. Taking a look. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, just like I'm not going to go through the entire roster. We're going to talk about some highlights. But I mean, again, guys, if you watched the team last year, you're looking at the exact same team. Colin Bauer, defensive coordinator. Now last year, Mike Nolan, who's more of a defensive-minded coach, right? I feel like there's always a general split. Like, are you an offensive-minded coach, defensive-minded coach? Obviously, the ideal would be somewhere in between. Whatever. Mike Nolan, definitely more of a defensive mind. Kind of handed over more of the reins to take better look at the big picture stuff, right? To Colin Bauer. Colin Bauer coached at Maryland, Rutgers, and of course a DC within the UFL. This allowed Mike Nolan to do more big picture stuff, and I think that begets success, right? 7-3 regular season, making it to the playoffs and losing, I mean, I guess technically 7-4 for the overall season, including the postseason, and 3 of those 4 losses were to the same team. Were of course, the Birmingham Stallions. Jordan Pavlison over there for the running backs. Wide receivers and special teams coach will be Jaron Fairman. Tight ends coach will be Garrett Watkins. Offensive line Tim Holt. Linebackers coach Christian Runza. I hope I'm saying that right. Excuse me. Brock Marion coming to lead the defensive backs, and Steve Kazor. Oh, man, I should really know what the general manager's name's pronunciation is, but again, very, very little sleep. I'm sorry about that, guys. Again, just in case you missed it, this is the exact same roster and whatnot. Or it's not. Why do I keep saying that? The exact same coaching staff. Excuse me, folks. Exact same coaching staff as last year. This leans to me as a don't mess with success kind of statement. Head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, all three of those. I don't see a reason why you would really change that, especially Colin Bowers. Kind of stepping up the plate, given that Mike Nolan was handling a lot of the defensive stuff, and just being that defensive mind and whatnot, and being able to take the reins on over, yield what we had, right? We had the leading rusher, or leading sack, Breland Speaks, who will be back. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Defensive was great. Just like I've said in previous episodes, if there is one thing to really look at, one person whose job I'm really going to be hoping is excelling, it is going to be Tim Holt there for the offensive line, right? Perry got injured last year off of lots of sacks, threw a couple interceptions, obviously off of pressure, whatnot. Tim Holt, looking at you, hoping, praying, come forth for the boys and do some fantastic stuff. And I have no reason to believe otherwise, right? The good news is that when it's something as like quintessential as an offensive line problem, I feel like a lot of the times those problems are very easily addressed, right? Moving on into the rosters, the actual men taking the field here for our Michigan Panthers. That's why you guys came, right? Let's zoom this in. I hope that you guys can see it. Yeah, there you go. Just going by position here. Brian Lewerke. Sorry about that, Brian. Sorry about Brian. I also big hat tip to Nick Thorne right here, maintaining these. Some of the folks over the UFM, I believe that was Brandon and Ace, maybe Josh, forward me along to this stuff. Nick Thorne, very much appreciate you. This is well done. I'm pretty sure I have the color coding correct as well. I'm pretty sure purple means they have not played within the UFL before. Drafted by Michigan in July, so he wouldn't have played. Drafted by Michigan in July, wouldn't have played. And came, 24, so he came right out of Michigan State. Came then, drafted by Michigan July. So it looks like these are all the purple means like they're all newer players. Anyway, let's hop on into it. Bryce Perkins as QB1. Obviously, training camps aren't done yet. These positions are not locked. This is just a little off-season hype, trying to prepare you guys for kind of what to expect, right? Bryce Perkins went absolutely off. I've said in previous episodes, I'll say it again. I feel like this is one of the best mixes of passing and rushing quarterback, right? Bryce Perkins had plenty of time to shine as well. And what that was like the kind of like the second half of the season and whatnot, right? Danny Etling, love him as well, absolutely love him. As you see, Brian Lewerke has not quite been figured out yet. I believe EJ Perry has been re-signed, but based on again, big hat tip PFN, based on what they're saying, needs no introduction. I always love that. Now EJ Perry, here we go. 664 yards, 2 touchdowns, throwing 3 picks, not great. Made an impact of the legs, 151 yards and 4 scores. 151 yards over, I think, 4 games, maybe 5 games. Where did it say? Week 4, went down with injury. All right, so played 4 games and placed an IR ending his season. Technically returned, but he wasn't active. Those were other quarterbacks. A little bit later, Daniel Wise, again, we'll talk about that. Anyway, sorry, going back to this. I believe EJ Perry is back, but he's going to be either competing with Danny Etling for roster spot 2, or with Rocky Lombardi, newer name. It came out of Nevada, right? I could have sworn. No, that was a different player. Sorry. Moving on in here to the running backs, right? Got Colburn. I love that thumbnail from last year. Matt Colburn, Nate McCreary. Those are 2 names, obviously. I'm very looking forward to coming back, doing fantastic stuff. Jaden Sheridan, I hope that I'm saying that right there. Undrafted 2024, so it looks like he 22. He'll definitely be back. That's definitely a newer guy. 187. That's the only thing I might be looking at right there, especially given that he's 5'8". That's not a short guy. Toa Tua, love him. I don't believe he's had any NFL experience. That's who was coming from Nevada, sorry. Toa Tua, this is a guy that I really felt like was given some opportunity to shine, then did, but then just didn't really get that starting roster, or that starting position as often when you have such crazy, when you have just such crazy talent as Wes Hills, and Matt Colburn, Nate McCreary. Like, Nate McCreary was definitely more of the third down back, if I remember correctly. But those two, it's hard. It is going to be hard to take over that spot. Taking a look for what I'm probably most excited about is our wide receivers and slot receivers. Devin Ross was the big name slot receiver wise last year, making huge freaking plays, and definitely in times that were like very very pressurized, and Michigan needed that. Right, it is the league of comebacks, and there were multiple times that we did that. Obviously reflected in the 7-3 record. Malik Turner. Don't believe he played with us last year. Yeah, has not. Was signed today, or no, sorry, not today. In January, so last month. Marcus Sims, the man, the boy is back. I love it, absolutely love it. I don't mean the boy as it like was there like talking down by any means either. It's just like the boy. We're out here. I love it. West Virginia, undrafted 2019, has done a couple of stints within the NFL and actually got to play in a couple of games, not just preseason, I believe. 27, 5, 11, 195. Love it. I mean, decently tall, not super tall, whatever. Sayosi Mariner. This was the got the screenshot of him making big plays in previous episodes. Love to see this guy back. Jalen Moore. I don't think played. Did not play with us last year. Signed in October 2024. Hey, in a sense, with 3 different teams in 4 different years, love it. A NFL experience will always welcome. Something else we'll always welcome is absolute football families, folks. How about the Nakuas? Man, oh man, we're getting Samson and we're getting Kai, right? Brother's obviously still in the, or older brother, excuse me, is obviously still in the NFL, and there's loads more Nakuas coming down the pipelines. John Hightower, if I remember right, this was, honestly kind of a slot receiver. Not a whole lot of receptions, but they were big receptions when they happened. Very exciting for this. And this is all, these are all, mid-20s, maybe later 20s, 29, Marcus Sims, 27, Sosi Minner, 28, Jalen Moore, 27, 27, 27. So this isn't super old. It's definitely not super young, right? No Jaden Sheridan out here, 22 years old. Xavier Malone, 24. Okay, a little bit of younger stuff. Devin Ross, 29. I think you can excuse it when you have performance, right? Age doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's just kind of an indicator, right? Tight end position, not going to lie, this is one of the things offensively that has me, outside of previously stated concerns, has me the most kind of questionable here because Cole Hikutini dumbed out last year. When you only have one tight end who takes receptions, though, it's going to be relatively easy to cover that tight end, right? Had some success. Was that the Niners, Vikings, Cowboys, Giants? Whole bunch of years, played with us for a couple years now, and Cole Hikutini, man can block, man can catch. What else? What more do you need from a tight end? He's also 6'4", right? 6'4.1", 247. Good God. Absolute goat, dude. Absolute goat. Moving on along, Gunnar Oaks. Again, I'm not going to go through every single one here. I'm definitely not just going to do the skill positions, but yeah. He played for us last year. Forgive me, Gunnar Oaks. I don't remember a whole lot of that. Jalen Windemeyer was announced earlier or last month. Yeah, there you go. Hey, Texas A&M guy. Another SEC guy. I want to look up a little bit about Gunnar Oaks, so I just want to leave him there. Gunnar Oaks football. Okay. Yeah, 27 for 279. That is not too shabby, dude. When you get lower numbers, I mean, barely breaking in double digits and stuff like that, it's kind of easier for these numbers to be higher. But 27 for 280, essentially, not too shabby, folks. Not too shabby. Looking forward to that. Younger as well. Hikutini, not necessarily younger. 30 right there. Another young man right there at 24. Moving on along to our offensive tackles, right? Jarrett Horst, Ryan Dorley, Chim Okorafor, excuse me. I hope I'm saying that right. One of the 2 big names here that I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, he had a fantastic season with us last year. And again, offensive line right here. Just all these offensive line positions. Going to be very excited to see kind of how exactly they went. Keith Russell, undrafted, went to Missouri Western. Man, they have a bunch of schools in Missouri, that's for sure. Hey, another Ole Miss guy, another SEC guy right there. Victor Kern Ajayi, another guy played for us last year. Wait, I could have sworn this guy played for us last year? Apparently not. Undrafted 307. We'll just do that. 6'5". Fantastic stuff. Let's move on here. Jake Burton, Ryan Nelson, Cole Cabral, JD Duplain will be new. Yes, he will. Drafted by Michigan and signed. Perfect stuff. Perfect stuff. Cole Cabral played with us last year, right? Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, played for the Birmingham Stallions. Fantastic stuff. I need to do a little bit better at learning these positions. Ryan Nelson, don't think he played with us last year. Let's check this out. Did play and a stint with the NFL. Stint with the Detroit Lions. Joined his teammate, old Jake Baste, down there. Take a look at some centers, guys who snap the balls here. Only 2 of them. This would definitely be expanded a little bit more here. Danny Wise signed the same time as EJ Perry. Fantastic stuff, as you can see there. All UFL defensive line. Walter Palmore, the big dog. Love this guy. Watching this guy ball out last year was at like. I say big dog because there were so many times he was little broed. So many dudes on the line. Watching this, 6'3", 317. Watching this dude play was, yeah, just inspirational, bro. Inspirational. Walter Palmer, big 99. That's exactly what I'm looking for. One of the guys, excuse me, that I'll be looking forward to watching play. Garrett Marino, number 55, went to UAB. Okay. Hey, played for Saskatchewan. We'll talk about the CFL a little bit later. Not like, so I should have gone through the topics. Whatever, right? Coaching staff, rosters, and then a little question: should the UFL change its date to February in 2026 via the good folks over the UFL News Hub? We are 17 minutes in. Cool. All right, actually making really good time. T.J. Carter, another defensive line guy. Oh. Another defensive line guy. NFL stints. Again, guys, we're never going to complain about NFL experience. Let's go to what I'm really, really excited about. Breland Speaks. The man is back. Elvis has returned to the building. All UFL edge rusher. He was the leading lead in sacks last year. My God, led in sacks last year. This was one of the. This and Frank Ginder were one of the big announcements I was waiting for to do an episode. Levi Ball, balled out with us last year and the year before that. Another guy probably on the other side. If I had to guess, Tafua and Levi Ball on one side, Breland Speaks on the other, Rondell Carter and Kenny Wilkes. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm sorry, man. Did play with us last year. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Hey, maybe there's a reason why Mike Nolan is coaching the squad. Moving on along here, Noah Dawkins. I don't even know how I didn't see that. Hey, he went to the Citadel as well. I was born in Charleston. Love to see it. But Frank Ginda, Defensive Player of the Year. Not just all UFL, not just for his position. Defensive player on that side of the field. 2023, they said he was the best. The more and more I go through this, the more and more I get just so much more excited for our defense. Donovan Martin, Raylan Goforth, Jalen White, I believe, played with us last year. He did. Excited for that. Plenty of NFL experience as well. Noah Dawkins, just went through him. DeGabriel Floyd played with us last year. Yeah, played with us last year. Went undrafted in 2024. I'm assuming that means in the NFL draft. Might have been UFL draft. I'm going to say that's NFL draft, given that he was released. He signed with us, undrafted, and then released in May. That's probably what that means. Corners. There you go. There's the name that I was looking for. Adonis Alexander. He was also a thumbnail, just absolutely cheesing, taking the interception back on down the field. Absolutely love it. This guy absolutely has
magic legs.
Really, really looking forward to this. Obviously looking forward to other cornerbacks here. Hey, who knows? You might have a little bit of an inside look on the man Adonis Alexander later this season. Who knows? Keontae Harden, a little stint in the CFL as well. He's played with us for a couple of years. Levant Taylor played with us a couple of years. Donis already went through then. DJ Miller Jr., Bryce Tornaden dumbed out with us last year as well, right? Oh, and then played for Pittsburgh as well. So he's part of the Pittsburgh defensive squad that in 2022, yeah, in 2022, all USFL safeties. So he was playing corner here, safety. Then between any two positions, that might be the least difference outside of the line. Kenny Lovely, NFL stint with Buffalo. Okay, well, Buffalo, we made the top 4 this year. Simon, Michigan. Yeah, so that was 2 months ago. And Jimon Green, undrafted since NFL. It seems like a lot of our defense has a pretty similar story, right? Undrafted, has a few years experience with the NFL, even though that's just practice squad, and then has come on the past 2 months. Let's go through our safeties. Kai Nakua, it is confirmed, is back. Let's freaking go. Let's freaking go. All USFL safety in 2024. He'll be back for his 3rd year, I believe. Akeem Dent, new name here. NFL stint with the Chargers. Okay. Looks like, I believe purple again is new to the UFL. So, Sean Mahone, not a whole lot of information in the past 2 or 3 years. Kedrick Whitehead, I believe played with this last year. Yeah, okay, sorry, because 2024 is last year. Arnold Tarpley, sorry about that. Vandy, yay, another SEC guy. Went to, the AAF, love that. Okay, and Pittsburgh, another member of the Pittsburgh defense. Okay, so we have a couple DC guys, have a couple on, I believe the DC guy was on the offense. That was one of the coaching staff, and then here that's fantastic. And then picking up part of that Mahler's defense. Not going to complain about that one. Corian Ballard, Arena Football, XFL, Houston. He was with the Houston Roughnecks there. Obviously the kicking staff here kind of boils down to a little bit of a smaller thing. BT Potter. I'm not going to boo him because he went to Clemson. I'm just going to point it out. Okay. Sit with Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. Not too shabby. CFL. Ham? Not actually sure which team that is, I'm not going to lie. Signed with us in July of last year, so did not play last year. And Jordan Ober. Signed by New Jersey. Obviously, New Jersey no longer a thing. Dissolved. Drafted by Michigan. All UFL long snapper as of last year. Oh, yeah. Duh. Fantastic stuff. Moving through some of our unsigns right quick. Bumper Pool, Brian Lewerke. Wes Hills is actually probably the biggest name here. Jesus Gibbs. I could have sworn he played with us last. No, there we go. Keith Gibson Jr. played with us last year and played on, again, that Pittsburgh Maulers defense. So one of the best aspects of a dissolved team. Seems like we're getting a quarter of their squad. So on defense, Bumper Pool and Keith Gibson. That's who I'm looking at. Brian Lewerke and Wes Hills. Well, really Wes Hills, but the thing about this is no shade whatsoever to Brian Lewerke, but given that we had literally 4 starting quarterbacks last year, and now we have another one added in with Rocky Lombardi, I want to see depth, but I'm just not sure how much adding another quarterback is going to change the on-field play, right? Because we'd have to have another series of injuries, or Mike Nolan, seeing something, obviously, coaching the team and through practices and spring training, everything else like that I'm not going to be privy to, unless he thinks there's, different man for different job, right? Different situations, whether you need some long, some long pass, in super pressurized situations, call timeout, switch out personnel, or you just need somebody to run out the clock or something like that. I can imagine there might be a couple of situations of that, but generally, starting quarterbacks are going to be pretty well assigned outside of injury, which obviously happened to us a whole lot last year. Reserve list: Jake Bates will not be joining us. Nate Brooks, I believe, is still up in the air. Yeah, I know that he played. I don't know why they're. Yeah, so this is talking about the Bengals. I'm gonna say that Nate Brooks is still up in the air. Yeah, well, what we know is that Jake Bates will almost certainly not be playing again. Obviously, done fantastic stuff in the NFL. Very, very happy for you, Jake. Don't want you to risk your career in the NFL and a whole bunch of money on what has been a great squad this year. Really, big shout out to the Detroit Lions on playing in a league that just simply pays a little bit less. Right, simple as that. 63 players total as of right now. Obviously, that's going to come down to 55. That is there again. Big shout out to the folks over the PF newsroom. Transition along. Last little bit of this shorter episode, right? The question. Oh yeah. Shout out USFL News Hub, of course, and the GOAT Mark Perry. Does Mark Perry have his socials attached? Only has Facebook. Well, there you go. Facebook.com/MarkJohnPerry if you want to follow. Well, Mark Perry, what do I know? But might want to add a Twitter in there. Who knows? So the entire question is, so Mark Perry took this as should it move to February specifically? What I'm going to open up the question to is should it just be earlier in general, right? Because we got to think about the numbers.
The numbers, Mason. What do they mean?
I'm going to start out this argument, point, whatever you want to call it, with this right here, which is exactly how Mark started it with talking about other sporting events that are going on right now, right? And he lists everything right here. Fantastic shout out to Mark, by the way, like being pretty thorough with this. But there's basically like three different sporting events here, or three different categories of sporting events here to me, right? There's other football, NFL obviously, and CFL, or NFL then CFL, right? There are other sporting events that are relatively similar, and then there's sporting events like golf, for example, that I just don't feel like there's a whole lot of overlap between times to be played and the specific fans that are involved, like the eyes that are watching, right? Especially given that I think younger folks are much quicker to like have multiple streams up, right? Like, oh, I want to have the golf up and picture. Then on the other side of like one of my multiple monitors, I'm gonna have say NASCAR, Daytona 500, or whatever else like that, and then be watching the UFL or whatever combination of that, right? I'm not making I'm not making definitive 100% statements here. I just feel like generally older crowd is going to be watching one thing at a time, maybe with a second TV up on mute or something like that. Anyway, my point being, things to avoid again in that descending order: other football events, other sporting events that are similar, and then other sporting events that are not as similar. I would put on least important to avoid, right? So obviously the Super Bowl, definitively there's no opportunity to do the UFL before the second Sunday in February. Period. End of story. The closest argument you can make is the very next week, but my argument, just like many other people, is it's just football fatigue, right? The college football season was longer, had more games than it's ever has been, with more teams, and obviously the schedule mix-ups. With the NFL, obviously hasn't really expanded in schedule, whatnot, but there's been so much more coverage of it, with the Chiefs going on for the possible three-peat and everything else like that. We're looking at 4 days outside of the Super Bowl, and my God, that's all that, I mean, just like every year, that's all that everyone's talking about, right? So could not do it earlier than the second weekend in February. So the next weekend, February 16th? I just think that's too early. Personally, I'm not putting this less than 3 weekends out from the Super Bowl. Like starting day numero uno, right? Opening day of the UFL, whatever Friday that would be, 3 weeks out of the Super Bowl, like at least. So we're looking at, it's the 9th here. 21 days would be like the first weekend in March. Like, yeah. That's after the Pro Bowl stuff, the NFL Combine. Doing that, like, what? Okay, so next year, March 2nd is the first weekend. So doing that March 9th, right? The weekend after you get the NFL Combine. That has been my argument. That will be my argument. I'm going to continue to follow this along right here, because I just feel like March 30th is too, like, second weekend of March is what I'm saying. I could go third weekend of March. I'm saying the fourth weekend of March is too long, right? You're looking at like 6 weeks or so after the last of the NFL. So speaking of other sports that you kind of might want to avoid, given that there might be other fans involved or like mutual fans of the two sports, MLB opening day, that will be the Sunday of opening week, right? UFL is having Game on Friday, a game on every Friday, excuse me. I believe it's always going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific as well, which I'm 100% down for. Love Friday night football. But yeah, the Sunday games, Sunday, which what a lot of people associate with football, gonna be on MLB opening day. There's gonna be there's 32 teams in the league. We're gonna be at least 10 games, right? I know the Dodgers and the Detroit Tigers, I think, are gonna be in. Dodgers and somebody else. I'm pretty sure that's Tigers are going to be in Tokyo, Japan, right? To open it up for a series, which I think is cool as hell. But that's just one game or just one series, right? Obviously that's happened a little bit earlier, but logic would follow that you'd want to avoid a major sports opening weekend, March 30th. I just don't, especially given that Fox Sports is one of them, and Fox Sports has always traditionally been, so much about baseball. I don't know. This is another reason to start it on March 9th. I was just talking about this March Madness, obviously. So having opening weekend the weekend before, I mean, there's not really a way to avoid this, right? The only way really would be to start it like after April 2nd or something like that. As far as combat sports here, WWE, yeah, maybe some overlap. Not really, especially given the nature of the WWE versus the nature of the sports league that is the UFL, right? The UFCs in general, I just don't see. I don't really see the problem in competing with these because this is definitely one of the things that people keep up on side streams a whole lot. B, more of a younger person thing where they're, again, previously stated, I feel like they're going to watch multiple things at once. And C, there's not, I just don't feel like, I mean, what? It's one single day and it's like 6 hours of games or something like this. Like the UFL has two games a day at absolute most, which is another 6 hours, right? There might be a little bit of overlap. Just avoid the main card, right? I'm not saying there's not overlap in fans between the UFC and the UFL. I'm saying that the UFC does not have like a whole day card unless I'm wrong, right? It's definitely possible. Doesn't have like a whole day like 12-hour card like the NFL does, like MLB does, like the NBA does on games when there's on days when there's 12 different games, right? I don't know. Golf, again, not really looking at that as like a huge competitor. Motorsports, NASCAR, like what are we doing? Open weekend of baseball, the NASCAR Cup Series. Not 100% sure what the Shriners Children's 500. I'm guessing, yeah, these are just other NASCAR races. Wouldn't it be way better to compete with the Shriners Children's 500? I'm not saying anything bad about that. I'm sure it's for a great cause and stuff like that. But like, I obviously this is the Cup Series that I believe that is for like points to go fourth and Pennzoil 400. These are just not. This isn't the Daytona 500. It's the Pennzoil 400. Again, no shade thrown right here, but is it really that big a deal to compete with these? I just don't feel like it. Again, ideally you want to non-compete with football, but this isn't a game, right? It's the draft, and I feel like that just goes forth to hype more about football. So you definitely want to have it during then. If you start April, the weekend after the Super Bowl, like the third weekend in February, you're gonna be. I mean, yeah, February, March, April. You're going to be towards the end of your season as the NFL draft is coming out, or as the NFL draft is happening. Do you really want, regular season baseball? The first month will be brutal. More ideally, competing with the MLB during the dog days of summer, when there's pretty much just baseball on. Now that's ideal. As it is, we're already doing that with going, starting end of March, like the very, very last weekend in March, and then ending when we do like right there, smack dab in the middle of summer. I don't view that as a bad thing. You just don't like compete with that much. Again, brutal, but it's just going to have to happen. Going to compete with college basketball somehow. This is a Thursday as well, though. So, April 3rd this year is a Thursday. Why do they do that? I don't know. And then the women's basketball championship on the 2nd. Given that given the basketball season in general, not just collegiate, but in the NBA, it is going to be impossible to compete with this unless the suggestion is just to start the UFL 2 weeks later, which I don't think anybody is arguing about. Looking at these, The Stanley Cup playoffs again. This is, I mean, hockey just goes for so long throughout a year. Love it, absolutely love hockey, and I'll be definitely tuned in a lot of those. But there's just no way to compete with these. There will be days, not just on the weekends though, where there's four games in a day, right? So obviously NHL has a lot more games on the weekdays, so this is less of a competitor there. Again, argument about like, oh well, can you avoid these? Just doesn't really come into contact when it comes to April 13th. That is a Sunday. April 6th, Sunday. April 27th, Sunday. So these are all Sundays. Yeah, it is competing. It is competing eyes and stuff like that. No, I don't feel like this is like the main competitor sports wise with the UFL. June has nothing for the NFL baseball regular season, which again I feel like is good to compete with. If we just take it 10 weeks, right? All right, so we're starting March 30th. I'm proposing we start March 9th. So that's the 9th, 16th, 20th, 3rd, 30th, and March 30th would be the 4th week. April 27th would be the 8th. May 11th would be the last of the regular season, 18th, and then May 25th would be the championship by my count here. Yeah, that is too early. Okay, that is too early. So yeah, March 16th. Just back the league up 2 weeks. That's what I'm switching my opinion to right here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 7. Yeah, so you're ending the regular season March 18th. The first week of the playoffs is March 25th, and then for this year at least, literally June 1st, which is a Sunday, would be the would be the first weekend, an ideal day to have it. Well, you can't do that. That's when the NBA finals are. Okay, so maybe that's Sunday, so it'd be May 31st, right? Would be the last Saturday in May. Have the UFL championship then. I'm also not against a week right there, so back this up to like say June 7th. Nothing June 7th. Yeah, I'm not against having a little bit of time between, like maybe a week before the regular season, the playoffs, a week between the playoffs and the finals, something like that, right? I'm really not against. I'm really not against that as well. The reason why the San Antonio Brahmas only have 4 games in 25 is because of March Madness. I thought it was because the St. Louis Battlehawks were being gifted another home game. I thought that was the entire point. March proved a troubling for the XFL in 2023. I'm not surprised about that. Just okay. I'd have to look at the numbers and see just like how much of a dip that was like, really was there to say like, oh no, or to track it back. Let's take a look at some of the pros that he's pointed out. Flag football game. I agree that the NFL fans are looking for something, but I just don't view that as like a super draw, right? Our All-Star games Pro Bowl stuff, is that really? Maybe I'm viewing it from my perspective because I don't really watch that stuff as much. And please don't take any of this as me crapping on the NFL. I just don't watch the NFL anywhere near as much as I used to. The reasons for that are pretty boring and standard from a lot of other people. Whatever, doesn't matter. Super Bowl weekend, you have one night game and 3 on Saturday, or even cashing on the hype around the most watched TV show. You want to do Super Bowl weekend? Training camps start mid to late July. Yeah, I have definitely been saying like we need to start earlier. 2 weeks earlier would be ideal because the championship was like a couple of days before 4th of July last year, right? Right? So June 2nd was the last week of the regular season. Oh no, June 16th. Huh. Why did I think it was on the 4th of July last year? Maybe I'm thinking about XFL and USFL stuff from 2-3 years ago. It is what it is. One simple con for me in DC is the weather. This is essentially the same weather, albeit maybe even a little bit better than teams be playing Super Bowls and playoff NFL in. I don't, especially going like this, you avoid some of the hotter weather, which I feel like is more of an issue, right? For especially some of the teams that are going to be, like Michigan, that are generally used to colder weather. I swear, this isn't like just some homer stuff, right? That I'm saying, oh well, we're used to it, so screw it, right? But like, you're gonna get more. I mean, dude, June in Birmingham. Have y'all been down there? Like, it's brutal, dude. I was born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina. It gets brutal by the end of May, beginning of June, right? How many weeks and June 16th for a championship, especially given that Birmingham's probably going to be in it again, right? For the supposed 4P, or at least for the favorite too, right? I mean, after you do 3 in a row, it's hard to really favorite in a different one. This is the one thing that I disagree with the goat here. That I disagree with old Mark Perry on. Changing the horizon, expansion of two new NFL team or UFL teams. So this is the last topic that I wanted to talk about really, and that is expanded season. The last year we got through 10 games like that, y'all. Like just immediately, right? I felt like the playoffs were here before I even knew it, and then obviously with 8 teams in the current playoff system, which I'm not saying is wrong or needs to be fixed or anything else like that. I'm just saying that there's only 2 teams. There's only only 2 matches. Excuse me, 4 teams, 2 matches, and so it's just like one on Saturday, one on Sunday, and like when you have a championship, you expect 2 matches, right? This is probably being babied from other sports and whatnot, having like much more of expanded playoffs, given that there's more teams and whatnot. But it just doesn't. I would sooner take a break after the regular season and going in, and I'd be much more happy with that if we had 11 games. What I'm suggesting here, what I've suggested on Reddit, detailed more on that, FBI_Tugbutt on literally everything if you guys want to check it out. I'm not going to like go through and look at the comments and whatnot, or bring up my comments or whatever else like that. But essentially, this is my idea, right? So increasing from 10 games, 10 weeks to 12 weeks, 11 games, right? And each team gets a bye somewhere in the middle. Either 4 teams get a bye across 2 weeks across the middle, week 7, 6, and 7, right? So that would yield only 2 games available, right, on those 2 weeks, right, for their teams, 2 games, or expanding that, so there's only two teams per week across 4 weeks, right? They get buys, so you'd have 3 weeks a game, but you'd have longer ones. So and the only way to like split it up evenly would be like weeks 5, 6, 7, and so some team 2 teams would have 4 games off week 5 and then play games 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So you'd have 4, 6. It just or 11, 12, sorry, 4 and then 7. So that just kind of seems like a massive change. And then on the other side, if you backload it, so it'd be, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you just play 10, 11, 12, and so you have 8 games to start with. Like there isn't anything really perfect right there, unless you expanded it to of course, the amount of teams. I'm very, very happy the UFL didn't like get too big for its britches, right? I feel like coming from esports, that's something that so frequently happens. People just wanted to like get right there, have it done. You know what I'm saying? Just already be there and established. You just pour money in, you pour attention in, whatever, the views will follow. Nah, like that's just not how it works.
Were it so easy?
How it works is establishing yourself as a league, getting like diehard fans and whatnot, and I'm very, very glad that the UFL is willing to be slower to come up to that. Right? They have the support structure necessary to pop off. They have fans that are becoming more and more rabid as time goes on, and hopefully more and more people watch. I feel like that's just a guarantee. College football has just exploded in popularity this past year so much, right? And like I said, people want football, right? And I feel like this is going to help out with, this could help out with a lot of that. As far as expansions, I could see 12. I'd want 10 though. If we had 10, I'd want a 5-team playoff with number 1 seed, period, across all conferences, getting a bye, and then the other 4 teams playing in. Right, or other 5 teams, excuse me. So like 4 of the top, and then like a wild card type, or 3 at the top, and then like a wild card or something like that. I guess I haven't really like gone into that one too much. Anyway, I said this is going to be a shorter episode. We're looking at like 35 minutes as of right now. So I'm going to go ahead and call it right there. I appreciate y'all watching. If you liked what you heard, follow the UFM, follow myself at FBI Tugboat. Oh, right there. Bam. On literally everything. FBI_Tugboat on every social medias. Blue Sky as well isn't included up there. As well as like pretty much every game. I also stream a whole lot, and I appreciate y'all watching. Be sure to check out regular season episodes of the Panthers podcast. We will hopefully have a couple involved participants here on the podcast, interview status and whatnot. Be sure to check out the other UFM stuff. Oh, where was it at? I had it. There we go. People on screen. Bam. Let's transition here. Bam. There you go. The goats. The goats. I don't have my overlay set up right, and this, but I'm supposed to be on top right here. Doesn't matter. Check it out. The Battle Talk Show. Brahmas Bullpen. DC Defenders defending a football show. I believe the Yeah, I believe the DC Defenders web will be on over with the Showboats this year. He's just making his round, making a tour of the UFL teams. Hellraisers podcast, of course, Polar Opposites. Been on there. It's Solar Opposites, that's what it was when I'm on there. Roughneck Rundowns, Captain's Log. We'll have twice as many faces on there as well. Stallions Run, love it. Tell me about it. I will be featured on there as well. Hopefully, if Arik will have me this year, and of course, Panthers podcast. Thank you guys for watching. We will catch you on the flip side.